All right. Today on the show, we have Edwin Carrion. Edwin is a God-made millionaire, family-oriented investor, and mentor. Throughout his run, he has founded several multi-million-dollar companies that specialize in real estate development, transportation, and logistics, investment, and business education and consulting. Edwin, welcome to the Define Success podcast. Thank you for being here.
Hey, Matt, good afternoon. Thank you for having me here. I appreciate it. And to everybody listening out there, welcome to the show. You're going to have a great time. You're going to learn a lot and you're going to enjoy it.
Definitely learn a lot. Yes, that's for sure. So, Edwin, to start us off, can you introduce yourself to the audience, how you got to where you are right now in your journey?
I got to where I am today. Again, I call myself a God-made millionaire. So the reason for I get where I am today is because thanks to God. I
Mhm.
always give the glory to God because that's my faith has been the number one driven factor to be successful, to become successful. And the reason I say that is before I used to call myself a self-made millionaire.
Mhm.
And when I lost it all, I realized that I didn't become a millionaire on my own. I had a lot of people along the way helping me. And also my faith, my belief in myself was what got me there. So it's very important that we always have a belief and we have a faith in something.
Yeah.
And the faith is going to get us to where we are. And the people that help us is the one that makes us successful. So that is who I am. Besides that, I am a family man. I love being alive. I love my family. I love being around my family. I love spending quality time with my family. I'm a loyal husband. So I've been with my wife for 11 years. I'm very happy for that,
Awesome.
that I don't have to start all over again.
Yeah.
It's hard work. It's extremely hard work. But at the end of the day, it's worth it.
That's awesome. So, you also have some background in the military. First of all, thank you for your service, but can you touch on your experience in the Marines, maybe something you learned along that journey?
Yes, I was in the Marine Corps and I had the greatest time of my life because I got to do what only the top 10% of the Marine Corps get to do.
Mhm.
So let's say in the Marines, there's like a million Marines. I got to be with the top 10% of them. So 100,000 of them just do special things that not everybody gets the opportunity and the chance to do, which is guarding the American embassies around the world. Not only that, but I was also able to train with the CIA, DEA, FBI, travel the world, expand my horizon. And that's what kind of also helped me shape who I am today and see the bigger picture and everything else and notice how blessed we are and how much abundance we have in this world and not only in the world, but in this amazing country that we live on.
I agree. And we've had plenty of veterans on the podcast just talk about different things. And I love their perspective on life after enduring the discipline of being in the military, the values that they instill in you, and just the lessons that you learn, and then going out into civilian life and taking all those with you and finding success outside of that. Edwin, another question for you. So you were an immigrant to the United States. What was it about serving the United States that appealed to you, coming from not being born in the country?
Number one, I always wanted to be in the military. I
Hmm.
love like the look that you have in uniform. I think it's like a pimp look, like a really cool look. So I always wanted to be in the military. But I at the beginning, after I started growing up, I realized that I did not want to go into the military, but I got sucker into it.
Hmm.
And the reason I got sucker into it, and I think this is like the first podcast that I ever say it this way, was because my recruiter lied to me and told me that I had to go to the Marines because at the beginning, a year prior to that, I signed some paperwork that I wanted to join the military. But then after that, I was going to school to become an attorney. And a year later, he comes to me and tells me, hey, you need to go. If you don't go, you're going to get a dishonorable discharge.
Mm.
So it was kind of like cornered into going into the military. But once I went in, I made sure that I made the best out of it. And I really enjoyed my military career. And I'm very thankful and blessed for that. And again, you know, being the few, the proud to earn the title of being a
Yeah.
United States Marine, to me is just like so amazing. That's a pride that is never going to be taken away from me.
Yeah, that is amazing. Such a good outlook. As we get into your entrepreneurial journey and what you've succeeded in business, you mentioned that there was one time where you lost it all, and there's plenty of people out there probably listening to this podcast, or maybe not, that maybe they lost everything, maybe they don't have everything right now, but the most difficult thing for a lot of people, I think, is taking the first step because a lot of people are afraid to fail. So,
Yes.
can you touch on how to overcome that fear of failure and do what you were supposed to do in life.
Yes. How to overcome fear of failure? I think everybody, every single one of us has, we all have fears, right?
Yeah.
And we have fear of failure, not only in business, but in general. We have fear of failure walking up to that girl and talking to them for the first time. Fear of failure, if she's going to reject us or not. Fear of failure into, I'm going to be able to learn how to ride a bicycle when we're kids. So fear is always going to be there. And one of the biggest things that I always teach my kids is, okay, there's two choices here in life. You either choose fear or the opposite of fear, which is excitement, right?
Hmm.
So to me, it's like if I'm going to jump off I'm going to go bungee jumping. Do I look at it and like, am I afraid of doing this? Do I want to do this? And I stay with the fear and don't execute it and don't jump off the bridge, or do I just choose excitement and add a new excitement and a new adventure to my bucket list
Yeah.
where not everybody gets to do? So that's how you become fear. You got to choose fear over excitement. And when we talk about business, okay, do I stay with the fear of not trying a business, not doing something that I always thought I wanted to do in my life? And then in life, as I get older, think back and said, I should have done that. I could have done that. Or do I take the risk and I change that fear into excitement? And once I change that fear into excitement, and then I look back 5 years later, I'm like, wow, what an
Hmm.
amazing freaking ride. I thought I was never going to be able to make it. It was tough. It was hard. I went through challenges. I lost this. I lost that. But I gained it all back. And look how amazing the ride has been. So
Absolutely.
we just got to look at two very simple things. And it's all a mindset shift.
Yeah.
How do we change our mindset from fear to excitement? What do we want to choose in our lives? Do we want to choose fear or excitement? It's up to you.
Definitely excitement. That sounds good. I find fear so interesting because when we are born, the fear that we come into this world with are basically the fear of survival, the fear of not having food, water, shelter, to live. And that is just passed down from the times where we had to fight for what we had, and hunters and gatherers, etc. Like that was a legitimate fear. But now the fear that you experience day to day, or the fear that you experienced a couple of years ago, the fear that you might experience in a few years, whether you start a business or whatever, that is not, you're not born with that. You don't come out of the womb thinking, I'm afraid to start this business. If you want to post more on social media, I'm afraid to put myself out there. That you're not born with it. So you have to understand sometimes that it is society putting these fears on you. And you have to understand that this is made up. This is not something that is life threatening to me. And I got to overcome it.
Right. And you said society and our parents at the same time.
Yeah.
Because when we're younger, as a parent, and I understand now because I'm a parent now, we try to protect our kids so much
Hmm.
that we shelter them from certain things, from them, from them being hurt because we think they're going to get hurt, but we don't let them experience. And we start putting fears into them as well.
Yeah.
So the first step in everything starts going back into how we were raised. What fears did our parents put in us, and getting rid of those fears first, so like that we could change our outlook in life and don't listen to what society has to say.
Hmm. Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's just having that understanding and that mental conversation with yourself that this is made up. Where is this coming from? That might be the biggest question that someone needs to ask themselves. Like, why am I holding myself back from this? What is the true reason? Because you have to address it, because you might, get past it for a day, but it might creep back up on you. So you have to make sure that you are always going to settle on those failures and make sure you're always going to get past them. And it's not always just removing failure. Someone on this podcast before said that he likes to move through failure, not away from failure. He addresses it. He was a former Navy SEAL, actually, and he addresses that failure,
Yes.
notices why it's there, and then he goes through it. He has that experience, like you said, that it can be fear or excitement. I'm going to have all the emotions that come with it, and then I'm going to get the best outcome.
Yes. Definitely.
Awesome. So for you, working in real estate, business, plenty of other different areas, how did you end up picking your niche for your business ventures?
Um, how did I pick my niche for my businesses? I didn't pick my niche. So I always say my businesses have picked me.
Mm,
And when I chose to take on that path, now at the beginning when I was younger, I will pick whatever comes my way because I was driven. I was motivated to do whatever I wanted to do to become successful, right? Because I didn't understand when we spoke prior to the podcast what success really meant.
Yeah.
So I was always chasing like the shiny object at the beginning. But now that I'm older and I'm wiser and I learned a lot more about life, I realize that things that come my way, I'm more technical of how I pick whatever I'm gonna industry that I'm gonna go into it. But one of the things that I learned was that you have to become good at one thing and you
Mm,
have to find that small niche into whatever you're doing. Because you mentioned real estate a minute ago, right? So let's talk about real estate. So in real estate, everybody wants to be a wholesaler. So the market is like this broad for wholesalers, right? So how can you stand out if you're a wholesaler and there's a lot of competition? You're not able to stand out because it's like you're like a tiny little fish swimming in the ocean, right? That's
right.
why it took a long time to find Nemo when you saw the movie. But if we become the big shark in a little pond, then people is going to be easier to find us. So what I mean by that is like if you want to be a wholesaler, perfect. Like what is that you're going to be a wholesaler of? Instead of flipping all types of houses, become really good at flipping 4 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms in a small little area. So don't be all over your state. Maybe just focus in one neighborhood because once you focus in one neighborhood, whenever an opportunity comes up, you don't even have to drive to the property to look at it because you already know like the back of your head where that property is. So just
Yeah.
to give you a little bit more concept in this, back in 2002, 3, and 4, when I started into real estate development, I picked an area and that was my niche. I would buy land in that area. So I knew every single street. I knew what house was next to street. If they tell me, go to 216th Street and 109th Avenue, I could visualize that in my head because we didn't have Google Earth back then and
Mm,
we didn't have Google Maps back then. So I knew that on the back of my head what it was. And when they told me, hey, there's this property and it's 4,500 square foot big, I knew off the top of my head that that wasn't a buildable lot, but I knew what I needed to do to be able to build on the land. So I'll take that
gotcha.
opportunity. When they tell me, oh, there's this lot here, I'm like, I knew exactly which one it was. And most of the times I knew the owners. So I know that they were trying to sell it for a while. So I knew I could negotiate. But if I was all over the place, I wouldn't have known that because it takes so much energy and time in order for you to kind of remember all of that and figure all that out. That if you become really good at one specific area, people get to know you. And as a wholesaler, if you sell a house to an investor in that investor most of the time is familiar with the area. So if you're able to find them properties and become really good at that area, that investor is going to be your key client where you could sell everything comes your way to him. Because again, going back in 2002 to 2005, I had a guy that wholesaled all the land to me
Hmm.
because he knew I wanted land in that specific area. So his job, he was actually at the end of it, end up working for me on the not directly for me, but on a way that he didn't have to go to anybody else. He was only coming to me because he knew I wanted land in that specific area.
That makes sense. So if someone focuses on that one area, like you mentioned, a 4 bedroom, 3 bed or 4 bedroom, 3 bathroom house, and if they perfect it, they master it, would you then recommend them branching out into a different area of wholesaling and try to, master that as well?
Yes, and that's when we talk about scaling, right? So you
Yep.
become really good at something, you become the expert at that part, and you create a system around that. So now that area of the business runs by itself. That's when you now pivot and you start scaling, or you start adding what's it called branches to your tree. You start
Mm.
adding branches to your tree, so you're able to scale and diversify and continue the growth. But at the beginning, again, become the expert at one thing and become really good at that.
Definitely. Real estate is a great example because there's so much opportunity in it. It's so broad, like you mentioned, but some people have to just focus in on one thing. What do you recommend someone doing? Is it listening to podcasts, reading books, going and looking at properties? How can someone start to take the necessary steps today to actually get closer and perfect that small area?
If we're talking about in real estate or you talk about in
Real estate.
general in
Yeah.
business, real estate. If you want to get started in real estate, number one, books. Read the books. There's a lot of good content out there. There's a lot of good people that have put out a lot of great books in real estate.
Hmm.
Then you got to figure out what area in real estate do you want to be. Wholesaling, flipping, development. To me, I love development.
Hmm.
because within development you could wholesale and flip, but when you do wholesaling, you can't. It's harder for you to flip and develop. So that's why. Number two, and I always preach this: get a mentor. You need to have a
Mm.
good mentor. You need to have somebody that is where you want to go, meaning that they have the experience, because there's a lot of gurus nowadays that they claim to have experience and they only flip a couple of houses and now they're selling courses and all these things. Find somebody that you want to be like. Find somebody that shares your values. Find somebody that is going to help you get to the level where you want to get.
Yep.
For example, when I teach my students, at the end of the day, when I finish teaching them, I invest my own money with them. And there's very few people, very few coaches, and very few mentors that will do that. And the reason, because they don't believe in what they teach.
Mm.
So you have to find somebody that truly believes in what they teach, and that is going to help you get to the level of success that you want to get to.
Yeah, that's a great point. And you're in Miami. That's a great place for real estate right now. So what have you seen in the space around you? Are there other people that are trying to teach people about buying real estate? Like what is what are the opportunities looking like for people trying to get into real estate in an area like Miami?
Miami is a hot area. Texas is a hot area.
Mhm.
California is a hot area for
Really?
real estate. Yes, California has always been hot.
I thought people were
But
moving out though.
they're moving out, but it's still a hot area. Again, when
Yeah,
people are moving out, you have more opportunities to buy real estate, right?
that's
So if
true.
you're really
Yeah.
savvy real estate investor, you want to take of those opportunities, because right now the reason people are moving out, because there's a fad going on. There's this mindset that when everybody's doing something, everybody follows, right? So, but then later on, when time slows down, everybody starts going back to their old routines.
Mm.
Just like me, I moved out of New Jersey before the pandemic in 2017. But I decided to go back to Miami, and the only reason I came back to Miami was because of the pandemic. If not, I will be in New Jersey and back in Miami, both places, because I love both of them. They're very nice, and especially being close to New York. But there's always opportunities, and you have to be on the lookout for good opportunities. People are trying to follow the trend, and that's when you get into trouble. That you're buying at the highest. You're not looking for the best opportunities. But if you're patient, if you take your time, this is the time to focus and update your business plan. Focus on what your strategies are going to be.
Hmm.
Focus into the things that you really want to execute, achieve, and look at a long-term vision. Where do I want to be in the next 5 years? So once you have all of that, then you realize that, okay, these are the opportunities that I need to take today in order for me to get to that level in the next 5 years. But if you start jumping on the bandwagon like everybody else is doing right now, you're going to get burned. A lot
Yeah.
of people are going to get burned.
Yeah. I think the problem that a lot of people have is just looking at that big outcome, like you said, in 5 years, and they just get overwhelmed. Like in 5 years, if you want to own 20 rental properties, that's 20 more than you have right now, for a lot of
Yes.
people. But that is a big improvement. And you might think, I can't see myself there. So I can't even take the first step. So what do you recommend for people that are struggling, like the failure pretty much is, you know, not taking that first step because you don't know if that outcome is possible because it's so daunting.
Right. Right. And I think goes more into, are we patient enough
Hmm.
to wait that long, right? And to me, that I'm very driven, that I wanted success so fast. To me, it was hard to look at a vision of a 5, 10 year plan, because I wanted to be successful fast. I thought that I'm gonna be too old. I'm 43 right now. I'm like, I'm too old already, and I haven't accomplished what I should accomplish. But not too long ago, I went to an event, and I heard this amazing speaker, and he put something in my mind that, it was mind blowing, that we don't, our lifespan, it's 40 years. So normally we retire when we're 60.
Yeah.
So if I'm 40 years right now, 43 years old right now, I still have another 17 years to accomplish everything that I had.
Mhm.
I have plenty of time to accomplish all the other things that I haven't accomplished yet. So if you're young, and this happens to a lot of young people when they're in their 20s or their early 30s, like, oh, I'm not as successful as I want to be. But you got to think about it. It takes 10 to 15 years to become really good at something.
Mhm.
So once you become over that learning curve, that learning experience, everything is uphill from there. And if you make mistakes, even if you lose everything, like I have lost everything, it's okay, because the only thing you're not losing is your life. But
Right.
you gain so much experience that is going to help you get back on the top really fast.
That's a great point. I think a lot of people that fall into that criteria are listening to this episode right now. These people, 20s, 30s, that they need some direction, or they maybe aren't satisfied with where they are right now. What advice do you have for someone to plan out their future and find success later down the road?
The best advice for plan of the future and have success on the road is number one, create a vision board. Have your vision board.
Hmm.
Have something. Have your ideal life somewhere where you could really see it and visualize it. And the reason I say that, and I truly believe in that, because since I'm a little kid, I have been envisioning my life. And I didn't know how important this was until I really learned that secret about that. And what I mean by that was growing up, I always loved cars and I wanted to have a Lamborghini. And
Hmm.
the reason I knew I wanted a Lamborghini because I had this little toy model car and toy model phone, and it was ingrained in my head, Lamborghini, Lamborghini,
Yeah.
not Ferrari, no other brand. It was a Lamborghini. So I knew exactly what I wanted in my life. So sure enough, that was ingrained in my head so much because I played with that. I wanted that. I'm like, one day I'm going to achieve that. I'm going to have that. Sure enough, when I became an adult, after my business, I was able to buy a few Lamborghinis by now. I had a few of them.
Awesome.
So again, it's having the vision board and not only in the material things, but also in relationship, in the things that you want in your life. And one of the biggest ones that I love to share with people is having kids. I always wanted to be a family guy. I always wanted to have kids, but I always wanted to have daughters. I did not want to have a son. I wanted to have daughters. And my vision was so strong that I have two daughters now.
Mm.
So, so again, it's how do you want your life to be? How do you want your life to look? Put that in a vision board. Create that because it's extremely important. People don't believe that, but we all know, right? Out of sight, out of
Mind.
there we go.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. Out of sight, out of mind.
Yep. And that it ties into the law of attraction as well. Just understanding what you want in life and then just pounding it in every single day,
Yes,
envisioning that desired life, that business, that income that you want, passive income, and just understanding that it can be achieved, and thinking of yourself in that way, not thinking of yourself as broke right now, thinking of yourself as someone who is a multimillionaire, someone that's physically strong, mentally strong, and just putting those things into every single day. And then
yes,
eventually it's going to become the reality.
yes. And not only that, remember too that it's not only about having the vision, but it's also about taking action
Yeah.
for that vision.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of people, say out of like 100 people, probably 90 are people that are critics. There's probably about nine out of them that are all talkers. And then there's going to be one that actually takes action.
Takes action, yes. And I love that you say that because it goes back into when I became a real estate developer when I was younger. I had a bunch of my friends, when I started seeing the success that I had, they were like, Edwin, how do you do this? And I will tell them step by step how to become a real estate developer. Every time, come on, just do it. I'll help you out. I'll do it with you. And out of 99, out of 100 people that I told, only one of them took action. And only
Really?
one of them is successful 20 years later, is very
Wow.
successful right now. So it's amazing that what you mentioned is like not everybody is going to take action. Out of 100 people, only one or two.
Yep.
But there, the reason that that happens and the reason not everybody takes action, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Do you know what the reason is?
They just don't want to put in the work, I believe.
It has nothing to do with that. It's a lot more deeper than that.
Okay.
Is that when you give somebody something for free, there's
Yeah.
not much value in it.
Yeah.
So they didn't take the value, they didn't value the experience, they didn't value everything that I was giving to them and telling them, you can't do this. I will help you out along the way because it was free, because it happened to me in my personal life.
Mm.
But the moment that I started charging people and telling people, hey, I'm going to teach you and take you step by step how to become a real estate developer, because it hurt them financially, it made a strain. They make sure that they took action because they wanted to see that return on investment.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree with you. Money is a huge motivator. And if you're putting your money
Yes.
into something, you're going to take care of it. And I want to hear your perspective on this. So I heard this one person talking about how to remain more accountable. And they said, call up it could be a friend, it could be someone that you don't even like, and say, hey, I'm going to go to the gym every single day this week. And if I don't send you a picture of myself in the gym, I'm going to pay you $100. So that person's going to be like, oh, I hope they don't send me that picture. I'm going to get $100. But you are going to make sure every single day you're not coughing up your money. Even if you go in and have the worst workout ever, you had the discipline to get in. You moved your body, you had some sort of benefit from it. And, you're not, once you tie money to it, your whole outlook on that task is going to change.
Yes, definitely. Once you tie money to that, your outlook is going to change. But it also has to be money that is going to make something. It's going to make you feel something.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, for example, I'll tell you, if I tell a friend $100, it's okay if I don't go a day or two because I'm able to pay the $100. But
Yeah.
then, it has to be based on where your income level is. So
Yep.
it has to be something that you say, man, I just gave up $100. So to me, be like, hey, I'll give you $1,500 every day that I don't go to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
But when I start looking at it, I'm like, no, 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 I definitely need to go. So it's all relative to everybody's income. So, if you do
Yeah.
that, that's definitely a motivator.
Yeah.
But I think another one besides that, the monetary thing is, when you give your word to somebody. And to me, my word means more than money. And
Mm.
that's what a lot of people lack nowadays. So if I'm able to give my word to somebody and I tell them, look, I'm going to go to the gym every single day. If I don't go to the gym this day, you call me out and you call me a liar. To me, like, that's like the most detrimental thing that
Yeah.
could happen in my life, that somebody calls me a liar because I did not keep my word.
Yeah. I mean, that is so lacking in our society right now. People just aren't
That's
dependable. Yeah.
absolutely right. We live in
How-
an era where it's you think you earn some, you deserve things without having earned them, having to earn
Mhm.
them.
Yeah, definitely.
Entitlement. There's a lot of
Exactly.
entitlement nowadays.
Edwin, how do you define the word success?
How do I define the word success? To me, success is not about money. To me, success is about living a fulfilled life.
Hmm.
And what I talk about in my book, Nine Secrets for a Successful Life and Business, is having certain steps in your life and being happy and content with your life 100%. So I don't need to have a lot of money in the bank to be happy, to be successful. Success, to me, my success is having a great relationship with my wife, being a good family man because I was raised by a single mom. To me, it's having a family and maintaining that family. But then at the same time, it's being happy and content with myself, having that relationship with God. So success comes in all types and forms. And to be successful, you don't have to be successful at one thing. You need to find what is success in every aspect of your
Right.
life. So once you're happy in all aspects of your life, relationship, faith, family, money, then you become really, really successful.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think you have a very good outlook on this because you said that there was one point in time where you lost everything,
Yes.
and understanding that getting all that money back, that isn't just what
That
success
doesn't
is.
happen. And that's not happiness neither.
Yeah. So how here's something for the whole debate about money can't buy happiness. What is your take on that? Because I understand that, you just said that it's detached, but do you think that money aids in happiness at all, vice versa? Like, what is your take on that whole debate?
Yeah. Money doesn't buy happiness,
Mhm.
right? It buys gratification, right? Instant gratification for the things that you want. So if I have money and I want to go buy a car, I'm going to go buy a car today. Whatever car I want, I go buy it today, not worry about it. And it brings me the happiness of having that car at that moment. But then the happiness goes away, right? The instant
Yeah.
gratification goes away. So what buys happiness? Money is a big tool and it helps you live a happy life because if you don't have to worry about money, then you're able to focus your energy and your time into everything else that brings you happiness.
Mm. Yeah. I like the analogy with the car because if you get a new car, you're feeling good. You're enjoying driving at first. And then after maybe a few months, maybe even a few weeks, it's just like, this is my car now. You don't have that same feeling when you
No,
turn it on and everything. So it's completely different. It goes away pretty quickly.
yeah. And you're always blessed. I mean, every time I look at my car in the garage, I'm like, wow, I'm
Yeah.
so blessed that I'm able to have this. But again, that's not my happiness. My happiness is like, I'm blessed and I'm happy that I'm able to have all these things, all these materials things that I want that fulfill who I am, that it makes me achieve the dreams that I always wanted as a little kid on the things that I wanted. If I wanted a yacht, I always wanted a yacht and I had that in my head. I want a big yacht. I want a big yacht. Now I have it. Is that my happiness? No, it's not my happiness. But the experience that I have in that, the experiences that I share. For example, not last month, last month, yeah, last month, I took my whole family on a 1 week trip to the Bahamas on my yacht. And
Nice.
to me, that was happiness, being able to provide and give that to them and spend that time with my family and the memories and the experiences that we created in that.
Hmm.
So that was the driving vehicle to create that happiness.
That's amazing. Great story. Edwin, you mentioned previously about the power of having a mentor. You mentioned also
Yes.
you learned something from a speaking engagement. How do we upgrade our circle of influence, these people that we're reading about, listening to, talking to, that will help us become successful?
The way that we upgrade our circle of influence is again by having mentors, by attending conferences. And the reason for that is that when you have a mentor, you're hiring somebody that has what you don't have
Yep.
or has more than what you have. And I'm not talking about just financially, okay? I'm talking about relationship, everything else. Once you build that relationship with that mentor is going to bring so much value to you. Not only is he going to help you achieve what you want to achieve, but he's going to put you in that circle of people that are have your similar values, that are elevator as you or the want to grow with you. So you kind of get out and stop hanging around with a crowd that is not elevating you, that's kind of holding you down,
Hmm.
and it's going to help put you on a crowd and with the people that are going to help you grow, that are going to help you scale your business, that is going to help you scale your life, that is going to help you improve your relationship. And one of the biggest examples that I always put, if I'm hanging around with a bunch of divorced single dudes all the time,
Mm.
my relationship is going to head that way, right?
Right.
But if I hang around with guys that have been married for 20, 30 years, my relationship is going to last that long. And that's exactly what I do. That's my circle of influence, people that have the life that I want, people that are successful. And again, to me, it helps me level up. When I go around my friends, and you'll always hear the saying that, if you're the smarter person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. And that
Right.
is completely true. Before, many years ago, I always used to be in the room where I was the smartest one, and I felt that everybody was taking everything from me, and I wasn't gaining much. But when I started changing my circle of friends, when I started changing my rooms, and I started becoming like not the smartest person in the room, but like the least smartest one, to
Hmm.
me, I'm like, oh my God, I thought I was like here, and now I feel like here. So I need to
Yeah.
level up again. So it gave me that drive to continue leveling up, to figure out what do I need to do to get here. And only because you're in a room where everybody else financially successful, that doesn't mean that you're less than them because you might have a lot of value to give to them
Hmm.
in humbleness, relationship, friendship, different ways. So we all have a value that we have to give. We just have to value ourselves.
Yeah. And that's so important to not only find those mentors, but find people that are better than you in different areas because everyone has the opportunity to make that choice. You can
Yes.
either stay where you are right now with your current group of friends, your family, your classmates, wherever, whatever situation you are in right now. If they are a negative influence on you, you have the decision to stay there and remain the same and get worse. Or you also have the decision to level up. Maybe you go somewhere else, a new location. Maybe you find new people, you find a business group to hang around. You transfer schools if your school isn't the right place for you. And all of a sudden, you are leveling up slowly but surely and making sure you're taking those necessary strides because too many people get complacent and
Yes.
satisfied with where they are. And all of a sudden, time's going to tick away and you don't know where it goes. And everyone needs to make sure that they understand even if you don't have a good circle of influence right now, you can make the decisions to make it better.
Yes, and one of the things that I like, and I heard in church, and I love this saying, and I stole this saying from my pastor, was that everybody changes with time
Yeah.
because time passes, right? So we all change with time, but are we improving? And that is the
Mhm.
most important thing that I learned. Is like we have to make sure that we continue improving as time changes. Let's not just change with time. Let's improve with time.
Yeah, I agree. And not only improving, if you're just staying the same, but over time, people are around you are going to get better.
Yes,
Competition is going to get better. So it's not just am I improving or getting worse? Like you got to make sure you're not staying stagnant either. You got to make sure you're always moving up, even just a little bit.
yes, and there's times in our life that we have to get on that comfort zone.
Hmm.
because it's okay. Sometimes we work very hard and then we got to get in the comfort zone. And from my personal experience, again, I worked so hard for many years that to me, last year was my comfort zone year.
Hmm.
If you look at my social media, you notice I was traveling every month, vacation
Yeah.
every month. Last year was my comfort year where I didn't do much. I didn't work much. I just kind of relaxed last year. But this year is again my year to level up. Back with my mentors, back with my groups, back working hard, back growing my businesses. So it's okay to be on a comfort zone because we need to decompress. The Bible says that we need that break, we need the Sabbath. So after a Sabbath, we need to go back and continue growing and continue leveling up and continue doing everything that we need to do in life.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I will point out that that was very beneficial for you because you earned it. You put in the work to put yourself into a situation where you can take off a year and enjoy it. So I would say for people out there, like, you know, work hard. And if you earn the time off, take the time off, refuel. And then the next year, the next week, the next day, get back at it, go harder. So yeah, great point there. Edwin, when you think about motivation, inspiration, what wakes you up and keeps you going day to day?
Number one, life. Just being alive, being grateful to have health, to
Hmm.
be healthy, to have my family. That's my biggest motivator. Is being blessed to be alive and to be healthy. That's my biggest motivator. But what wakes me out of bed? My alarm clock. That's what gets me out of bed every morning because if I don't set the alarm clock, I could probably sleep all day.
Yeah.
But just kind of being there for my kids, being there for my wife, and just doing what I love to do. I love to live life to the fullest, and I love to work. I love to create things. I love to go out. I love to meet new people. I love my life. And I think
Hmm.
that is one of my biggest motivators in life. Seeing people grow, helping people scale their business, helping people, get out of the rat race, helping people become financially free, helping people have passive income, giving people the opportunity to have passive income. So all those things make me happy. So that's what kind of my motivator is. And also spending a lot of time with my family.
Hmm. That answer right there sounds closer to success rather than someone if they came on, they're like, here's all the money I have, here's all the stuff I've accomplished. That right there, which you just explained about loving life, loving being around people, supporting people, being around your family, that is true success. So congratulations on that,
Thank you.
man. I mean, that's amazing.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Before my last question for you, can you plug your social medias, your website, wherever people can be redirected to after this episode?
Yes, yes. You can follow me on my social media channels: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, even though I'm not there, but TikTok also, Edwin Carrion 78, or you can find me on my website at edwincarrion.com. And if you go to my website, if you go to my social media channels, there's a guide. I'm going to give everybody my 9 secrets for a successful life and business that I want to share with everybody. And again, once you grab the guide, these are the secrets that I live by. These are this is pretty much what is the success of my life. So I follow that. So hopefully it helps everybody with these 9 secrets. It helps everybody kind of achieve their perfect life, achieve the life that they want to live.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. We'll definitely link it in the show notes if anyone wants to check it out. So thank you for that. Edwin, my last question for you is what is one piece of advice you'll leave the audience with to help them become closer to being successful?
My last piece of advice is that if you don't know where you're going, you're eventually going to get there. That's as simple as it gets.
Can you expand on that?
Yeah, if you don't know where you're going, you're eventually going to get there, right? So if
Yeah.
I tell you come to my house, you're eventually going to get to my house,
Mm,
but you don't know when. So once you have that plan, you know when you're going to get there and you know how to get there.
awesome. That's great advice. Edwin, thank you so much for coming on, dropping some value, and spending some time with the Defined Success community. We definitely appreciate you. And thank you again.
Matt, thank you for having me. And to everyone out there, thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, don't be afraid to message me, become an ask hole. Don't be afraid to ask.
Awesome. Thank you.